Well, you're still watching STARTIMES Business. We'll be back from the break. Here is where we talk more business matters as we kickstart off your day. Well, it's Good Friday. A happy Easter holiday from ours to you as you kickstart off your Easter holiday. I almost said Christmas holidays. Easter holiday celebrations for you and the entire group in there. Now, our SMB Insight this morning is going to rotate around the national IDs or the national identification cards. There's been some crisis around some of the members of parliament asking questions that when someone loses their national ID and police is searching for the owner, it is very difficult to trace them. The question is, what information are we supposed to add on the national ID that really shows someone's identity? Because as a national ID, we do believe it is supposed to have components of someone's whereabouts. That means if it is lost, it can easily be accessible if this person is still alive. However, it is becoming very difficult to work on. But however, next year, government starts rolling out a new phase of national IDs for most of, because almost this is the same year where most of the IDs will be getting expired. But this time around, the renewal process starts off next year with not only that, by the look of things, the government is set to hire 11,000 for mass ID registration. And then not only that, there has been more details coming in from NERA, is that the URSP boss, Kainawisho, joined the NERA board. All this is to make sure that they create streamlining for the National Identification Registration Authority. And then besides that, NERA continues to rally Ugandans to support the new ID project, which is to embrace, which will be starting this year. And by next year, enrolling out of renewals of the national IDs will be kicking off. Let's first get more details from the SNB Insight. We return with more discussions here.
We are having a problem with the national IDs. When you lose a national ID, you report back to NERA. There are thousands of Ugandans who go to NERA to get national IDs. The line is as long as from here to Pade. To get a national ID, in that measure, there are dubious officers who use that advantage of extorting money from people. Right Honorable Speaker, when you go to police stations, you'll find thousands of missing national IDs, of lost national IDs that they cannot trace the rightful owners. If you look at your national ID carefully, you'll only find a village, a parish, and a zone. Police officers say there is no way they can trace the owners of these national IDs.
Prayer?
My prayer, can the Ministry of Internal Affairs present a ministerial statement on when they are planning to redesign the national ID to include the contact of the bearer or the email of the bearer, so that in case of loss of a national ID, they can easily trace back the national ID to the bearer. Secondly, Right Honorable Speaker, to access your account, you need a national ID. To replace your ATM, you need a national ID. Replacing a national ID in NERA takes 2 to 6 months, which is so cumbersome. What is the minister's plan on easing Ugandans' life on the introduced usage of national ID?
The impact of not having national ID is a mess because nowadays in this country, if you don't have a national ID, you can't transact. You can't access a bank. You can't even get other documents that you need, important documents you need, like driving permit. You even in health services, people have tagged everything on the national ID. So not having it is more dangerous. A person may even lose. For example, if you have issues with your account, you'll not be in position to transact on it because of national ID. So it's a very important document in this country now that we can't miss. So everything now is attached to national ID. So whatsoever we are discussing, we are touching that importance because it's a serious document that we need as Ugandans for day-to-day business in this country. NIRA tells us these are computerized documents. Sometimes I find it very unnecessary, the process they take us through to obtain another document would be now going to the bank even without a physical ID. The bank would be in position to access your data. Go to NSSF, your data should be accessed. But I wonder this semi-autonomous automation these people are practicing, because I can't be having a national ID and for every other step, bank, hospital, where I'm asked for the same ID and driving permit. This should be a document across the MDI, in that whenever they put in your name in the system, your telephone number, it should be in a position to give all your information that you have given on the ID. So I find it very funny. You can imagine now, they're talking about you can't access your ID when to get lost. Police is stuck with them. Why on us? They should be knowing your village, they should be knowing your LOC, they should even be knowing your telephone number, because you give that information on the phone, on the form while you are filling. So to me, it is just laziness. It is something they should complete the process. And I wonder why normally we pay a lot of money to come up with these things, but they keep on doing half-baked work. Next time you'll see they are telling us to renew the IDs, they just want to capture your telephone number. So they have brought a new system, a new software that will capture now your telephone number, which can be done. These things we are not inventing them ourselves. These things are somewhere. If you go to the US, these developed countries, in Israel, and these are people who do our things here. I wonder why every time we do things and leave something undone, it forces us to believe they leave it as a part of making money next time. Why do you give an ID expiry date? You know? So these are things we have to discuss. And we feel very uncomfortable. They are becoming a point of corruption, in that all the time they are fleecing the country. We do IDs as if we are doing new ones. I've given you information. I can't have information in one bank and I go to another bank. They're asking me for the same information. The Bank of Uganda should be in position to provide. So this is an issue, but it's an issue of incompetence. It's an issue of wanting to cheat the country.
And now there you have it, some members of parliament saying they're not satisfied with how NIRA is rolling out national IDs, or why it is very impossible for someone to get their ID once it is lost. By the renewing an ID in Uganda is the most difficult thing. No, okay, it's not the most, but it's among the most difficult things. And not only renewal, but getting one.
That is true. Even registering for one.
Wait, registration may be easy, but getting a national ID, more so during this era. Maybe the first IDs that were enrolled, it was very easy to get by the first people who registered here. They got them easily. But then the second phase became difficult. Now, once you lose it, you may actually look for your national ID and fail to get it. Even when the police has it, surprisingly.
Very true.
Because you get to realize that the police has got thousands of national IDs of people. Most of the people are still alive, surprisingly.
Very true, but they can't trust them.
They can't trust their IDs. So some of the members of parliament believe that the next order should be that they should create at least a system whereby if someone loses their national ID, it is just like you go when there is an email or a phone number, and or at least where you can easily trace the whereabouts of this national ID. Or in case if someone picked your ID that is lost, they can easily know where you are, or take it to the police so that the police can trace for you. Because sometimes we all find these national IDs of people, you know, lost or on the ground, and you just have to take them to the police or the LCs. But still, in no vein, you never find the owner of the ID, even though the person is still alive, by the way. But besides that, our discussion now gets bigger with Pedson Mumbere, who joins us this morning on set as we discuss more. Many thanks for joining us, Pedson, and happy Good Friday.
Happy Good Friday. So, do you know I am touching my mouth? Why? When you were discussing this of national ID, I felt the pinch, and I felt what I went through.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Let me give you a simple story. When I was looking for a job,
yes,
I was required to have a national ID. and my national ID was still in the process of being renewed.
Yeah.
I lost it. And the person who was going to give me a job badly wanted my national ID.
Your national ID.
And then when my ID came out, I realized there is a mistake.
Okay.
In the ID.
If you look at me, how old am I? I'm in my late 20s.
Yes.
But if you look at my ID, I am 38 and above.
According to the birth date they gave you.
You get. And yet I gave them the right one.
The right details.
And you know what I did? I didn't say anything. I just said, just to give me. Because
You needed the job.
Yes. You get. And again, I need again to go back into
And
the
you
same
correct.
process for correction. And when you correct, I hear is 50,000.
Because you're correcting a
Because
mistake.
I'm correcting a mistake, which is
At times the mistake, they blame
They
the
always
mistake
blame
on
it
you.
on the
They
person.
blame it on me. You get.
Yeah.
So all these are the things we are talking about. You get. So they say there should be a provision of an email address or a phone number, right? But
Very
now we keep on changing the phone numbers. I mean, people lose their phones and they change to have a new line. So what will happen?
Okay.
I'm also asking.
Very true.
And it's a big one for most of the people who are actually into that space. You get to realize that at times for enrollment processes, like Pedison has mentioned, that it's very, very difficult if you continue to look at how people get their national IDs. At times getting it, I am one of the few victims there in this kind of scenario, especially rotating around getting a national ID. It is very difficult. You may work hard to get a national ID for starters and then fail at getting this national ID. Now, once you fail to get the national ID, you may lack job opportunities because, like Pedison has mentioned, some bosses really want these national IDs. And at times, if you don't have it, you rush to NIRA. Everyone at NIRA wants some money to work on you. And I actually have fallen victim to over 3 people working with NIRA and still failed to get a national ID. The best I did was getting a NIN.
Sure, you crammed your need.
No, I had to get a NIN, and I had to pay for it from someone who works in NIRA. So you get to realize, we all know this. If you have no one who works in NIRA that you know, if he's not a friend or a family member, and you have no money, then you can forget your national ID.
You're literally out. But I was thinking about that matter of the national ID. You see, there is the thumbprint that we put on there, and that has quite lots of details.
Yes.
The challenge we have is that, you see, benchmarking from countries like the United States of America, if the child is given birth, then they put into the system. The only thing you do after that is updating your information, whereby even though that ID gets lost, you can pick it and take it to any police station. They're able to trace that and they know who you are because that already has. These are other additional things, putting email. Let me tell you, if somebody is careless, who doesn't care, because personally I may see an ID and probably have things I'm thinking about, I may not really have the time to go, let me call you, But the quickest option is if I see a police station, I'll take it there. But now the challenge comes in with our systems, when it comes to protocol, like, okay, what should be done, that ID should be put somewhere into the police system and it's able to display who you are.
I think it has been a very big challenge. Even when you're renewing, you still have to go through processes, long processes. I ask myself,
you can just
when you're registering for the national ID for the first time, I want to think that they have my
information.
And you already got the card.
And you already
already got the card.
So why do I go through all
the same processes or even worse?
But I think they are saying they are going to have a reform. You see, we are going to have a new national IDs, right?
Yeah.
Yes, I think all these things they ought to look at them and see how they can streamline this process.
Very true.
Otherwise, it's not proper. Those lines there at NIRA offices, it's just not good. They need to. Now we need digital life. Yes. They should digitalize.
If we can apply passports online.
Yes. Even national ID should be the same.
Why can't
Let
we
me
do-
apply
what
for
can-
national ID
Because
when
by
I'm
the
at my
applying
place.
for a national IDs for a passport is very easier than applying for
national ID.
for a national ID.
Yes.
And someone may actually ask questions. Why is that so? Because by the look of things, on the portal, like Andrew has mentioned here, is that if you go into the Ministry of Internal Affairs portal and you want to at least get yourself a passport that is online, you can easily fill in. Then after filling in, you go out and pay. After payment, you're called in for the interviews, and with only 2 weeks time, or it depends on the kind of national passport that you've paid for, and then the time frame they've given you. But the national ID is very difficult. I've told there are people who have actually gone to Kololo, gone to all NIRA offices, went for signatures from their GISOs, DISOs, whatever, chairperson and everything. All the time you go, they tell you go for a signature. And the funny twist, by the way, the funny part about this is we have foreigners who have national IDs, and the locals in Uganda don't have them.
It's very sudden. No, it all now comes back to the procedure of, because some of these people actually, anyway, I won't go there. But the whole factor in here is, if you, coming into the aspect of corruption, if you don't have money, you're going to be delayed.
Yes,
definitely.
true.
It's going to be delayed for you to get a national ID. So if you go through the normal procedure, just like any citizen, and this is something you're entitled to. The Constitution lays it out clearly.
But when I was renewing mine, I did not. It took me 3 months. Is it 3 weeks or 3 months, something like that.
3 months.
But man, the lines that I took at Kololo, I don't think I can go back. Even if I lose it, I'll start thinking.
People would wake up as early as 6 a.m. and they're already lining up in Kololo.
Some
very
others
true.
sleep there.
Some people sleep there.
Some women
That is a business they destroyed for someone, and the depression and trauma you experience
exactly
when you're waiting for someone.
And even the funny thing is that even getting it, somebody can actually go through and they see that your ID is out, but they tell you it's not out.
Thank you. It becomes really, and it's, by the way, some of the Ugandans have actually said that the only fastest office that is very efficient is one that gives out licenses. Sure. The one that ushers out, that actually ushers the permits. The one that is around the URC.
I also had that information. That those things are super fast.
Super fast. Getting a permit, very easy. If you're renewing the same situation, you won't spend an hour waiting or anything.
Sure.
If at all, I hear it is the only most efficient office here with streamlined, with the way they do their things is more streamlined, very effective and efficient. Unlike cases at the Ministry of Internal Affairs when you're going for the passport, and then NIRA having, if you're to look at everyone's view of NIRA, no one has a good experience.
But I think also Internal Affairs is doing better.
They are doing better.
But my biggest problem is still on national ID. I don't know why they're not picking a leave. Permits from permit offices and somehow at the Internal Affairs.
Yes.
National ID, I just don't know. They need.
But now with the look of things, 11,000 have been put in there to make sure that it's made much more efficient.
11,000 hired. Those are temporary workers across the country to register people for the forthcoming mass registration exercise that NIRA intends to do. Also, kind of wish from URSB was added to the board.
To NIRA.
To help NIRA.
Yeah, to help NIRA in there. Because according to the other details, Ugandans who got IDs in 2014 must, and it's a must.
What about 2020?
Must renew them before they expire this year. This one is for those who got them in 2014.
Because there's a Ugandan who got an ID. Personally, I got my ID in 2020.
I think
the others who got in 2014. Because those were the first people to get this phase of these particular current national IDs that were printed out during this year. Okay. So the NIRA is expected to hire these people by June this year before it officially starts issuing the new electronic identity cards. So the electronic identity cards that are expected to be given out next year, but the exercise starts this year. That is for registration, renewals, and all that. So the government is set to phase out at least the current national identity cards by next year, 2024, and replace them with the electronic ones.
Okay, that will be electronic.
Yeah.
So will it be easy to be traced this time? Like if I lose it, will it be easy
I
for
want to
me
believe
to
so,
trace it?
because members of parliament want this time around that if these are electronic, then let it have at least the personal location, and at least have a way you can easily get to someone.
Get to somebody.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I think, again, if government has been getting money from renewals, will that be possible for them to create room for...
But you know, also, away from improving the IDs and everything, I would really urge the responsible stakeholders to also look into this factor of, like how I told you, a child by 3 years, their data should be into the country's system. You know, that would make tracing a little bit easier. You know,
because lately, by the way, children have started having their NINs. Because I believe if you have your NIN, it literally drives the conversation that you already have your information
stored. You just update as time goes on.
Exactly, because by getting, when you want a passport, they will actually need only your NIN.
Exactly.
If you have no passport, but when you have a NIN, it's okay. You can go in. And it is very difficult, by the way, to, for example, register a line in your name if you have no national ID.
It's impossible.
It's only with the bank if you have a passport.
Probably,
but now,
yes,
when you're registering with a line, you really need your national ID. So I think NIRA needs to at least try to streamline this and make it very efficient and faster.
Okay.
Well, after the break, we're going to have more discussions, and this time around looking at the tax mobilization. And as Uganda Revenue Authority intends to widen its tax base, there's something to do with taxing those in the e-commerce sector. Edson Mumbere is here, and one of the reasons as to why we have to discuss this is here to give us more updates on that matter. He did cover the report that aired yesterday in the Bulletin of Business today, so we have more discussions coming up. But as we're heading to the break, remember to invest in government bonds and securities with ZABO. Today, it being a public holiday, what you need to do is, first of all, register. If you haven't registered, use your NIN to register. Star 292 hash. It will be open on Tuesday, starting with 8:15 a.m. to 3:15 p.m. simply because during the weekends and on public holidays, they are fully closed. So invest in government bonds and securities and make your money count with this ZABO platform. With just a minimum of 15,000 Ugandan shillings, you can grow your investments with ZABO. ZABO, my money, my future, Alltech East Africa. Do something new. After the break, we take deeper into understanding taxing of the digital economy. Not only that, also looking at the Minister, Mary Chitutu, who was remanded to Luzira prison yesterday with his brother. What does this mean for the other ministers in the same saga or those who are indulging in corruption tendencies? Good morning.